What's going on, guys? Bengal King here, coming back at you with another video, and today we are back doing another rankings video. And before we do anything else, I'm going to get this out of the way. I know it's very clear and obvious, but you're going to disagree with my rankings because there are 32 different teams. You're more than likely a fan of one of them, at least one of them, and you're going to be mad if I rate a player that you think is better than they are, or better than I think they are. You're going to be mad. Most people are irrationally mad on the internet. It is what it is. I don't care. There, sure enough, will be people that are in the comment section saying I don't watch football based on one or two rankings for sure. I get it. I'm okay with it. But if you're going to be in the comments and you're going to say, he must don't watch football. He must don't? Did you just say that? Like, at least say it like grammatically correct to some degree, because I saw he must don't a couple times and I'm like, huh? Anyway, so some of these pictures are a little bit old, which is fine. It doesn't really matter. It's still the player. It's still the same thing. And some players won't really be ranking based on their playtime this year. We have a bunch of different categories, S down to F. Basically, S is in like a tier of their own. That's like the top 5 or 6 in the league. And then we have like high, elite, above average. We have B, which is above average. C is pretty much in that average to getting to below average range. D is below average, and F is like, probably is a replacement level player. But there's a lot of receivers on here. There's like 70 probably, somewhere in that range. So we're going to have to be mean to some of them. They can't all be great, but we're going to do the best we can to rank these guys. This is based on not only the 2019 season, but also seasons they have played prior, because even though we're shifting focus and there's more weight to the 2019 season, maybe, you have to take into account prior years. Otherwise, you'd have guys like Nick Foles last year being ranked as like an S-tier quarterback because of his playoff run, and that just is not the case. That'd be foolish and silly to rank players based off only this year. On my quarterback rankings, people are upset I put Ryan Tannehill in average. This dude was benched and was a backup QB. He's been great this year. That's why I moved him up to average starter. You can't take only this year and half a season from a guy like Ryan Tannehill. Let's not be ridiculous. But we're going to start off with Christian Kirk. Some of these will change. We kind of have to set a baseline. And Christian Kirk is going to be the guinea pig here. I think he's a player with a lot of potential. Hasn't really shown that too much. I think average is probably a good range for him in C tier. I think he's an okay player. Had some drop issues at Texas A&M, but he's all right. I wouldn't say he's anything crazy. He's okay. Taylor Gabriel. Taylor Gabriel's a player that I actually like a lot. The entire Bears offense is really bad, though. I think he's another guy that I'm going to put in average. I think Taylor Gabriel's okay. I don't think he's exceptional. I think he's an all right player. Good routes, good hands in general, but I don't think he's a dynamic enough receiver for you. Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson's like borderline A, but he's just above average. I think he's a good number 1. That's pretty much what B is, like someone that can be the best receiver on their team. Be like, okay, that's a fine receiver. They don't really need an upgrade at that particular spot. But I don't think Allen Robinson is in that next level of receivers. I don't think he's in the top of the NFL. I don't think he's even in the 5 to 15 range maybe for receivers. He's close to top 15. But I wouldn't say it for sure, so I wouldn't put him in there just yet. AJ Green. This is another weird one because he's been injured, and I mean, he barely plays, but I think AJ Green is still A. He's one of the better receivers in the NFL, just doesn't really see the field so much because of injury. We'll have to see where he plays next year, if that's on the Bengals or somewhere else. It'll be interesting to find out, but I can't put AJ Green any higher, and I think it'd be stupid to put him any lower based on his talent. Next up, we have Odell Beckham Jr. This is one where I've had Odell in S for as long as I can remember, and it's not because he's on the Browns now that I'm going to drop him down. He's going to go down to A. He's been really like not good this season. It hasn't even just been like Baker Mayfield and the Browns' offensive ineptitude. Their play calling's been terrible, but Odell's been dropping the ball consistently. I think he leads the NFL in drops, and even though he's a tremendous route runner, he does still have good hands, but I don't know if it's a focus thing or what, but Odell's dropping the ball way too much to be in that upper echelon right now, so I am going to have to drop him down. Still probably one of my favorite players in the league, but we have to take this realistically. There are going to be players or people, commenters, that want Odell in B or C, but he's still one of the better receivers in the league by a lot, just has had some drop issues this year, and we're gonna rate him accordingly. Would you take a player like Allen Robinson over Odell? I don't think you could. And if you say you did, you live in Chicago and you like the Bears. He's not better. There's no way. John Ross. John Ross is probably D. Really, really fast player. Finds the end zone a lot on his targets, or had at least last year. Still not really a great player. He was picked around top 10 a couple years ago. Has not lived up to that hype at all. John Ross is a replacement level receiver at this point. Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry is B tier. A lot of people love Jarvis Landry. I say he's outplayed Odell, but he's not a better player. You got to think about like scheme and who's getting the most targets, who's on the best cornerbacks. And Jarvis Landry has a lot of openings. Doesn't really do a whole lot with the football after the catch, but has good hands. Jarvis Landry's got great hands. Doesn't really do so much in creating separation, but he doesn't really drop the football at all, and that is a tremendous trait to have. I think he is certainly an above-average receiver, but not one of the league's best, in my opinion. Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup I like a lot. It's so tough to grade him because do I think he's better than Christian Kirk and Taylor Gabriel? Yes. I think he's in a tough situation where Dak just cannot seem to find him a lot of the time, even when he's wide open. But I don't think he's as good as Jarvis Landry just yet because of some of those factors. I'm going to put him at the very top of C tier. I like Michael Gallup a lot. C doesn't mean bad. I can like some of these players, but due to one thing or another, like scheme, as we talked about, and their fit within on offense, which is basically scheme related, they could be dropped down lower than maybe I'd like to put them. Allen Hurns, who's on the Dolphins now, he signed a big extension with the Dolphins, but is not a particularly good player. He doesn't really do a whole lot in that offense. I think he's like borderline F. I don't know who we're going to put in F, but Allen Hurns is on that border where I don't think he's really a good player at all, but they got a big extension, so maybe the Dolphins think they like something there. Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is going to be an A. Great route runner, good hands. He had drop issues one year, but Amari Cooper is certainly one of the league's better receivers. I think he's a really, really talented player, and hopefully the Cowboys don't end up re-signing him. I think that'd be for the best. Deshaun Hamilton. Deshaun Hamilton's D. He's not an average starter. He's not as good as some of these other guys, but is all right. I mean, that's pretty much what you can say about him. Courtland Sutton is quickly becoming an A-tier guy, but he's still young, still has a bit to prove. He's B-tier for right now. Probably near the top of B. I think he's about on the same level of Allen Robinson. I like Courtland Sutton a lot, but I just don't think he's to that next level yet. Larry Fitzgerald. I'll put Larry Fitzgerald in B. I mean, he's one of the most sure-handed receivers in NFL history, and is he still does he still have that electric speed and route running ability and the ability to create separation and go up and jump ball and high point it? Not really so much, but he's still one of the better receivers, even at 36 years old. So hats off to Larry Fitzgerald on a great career. I don't know if he's going to play till he's 60, but he's still out there. Marvin Jones. Marvin Jones, I think, is B tier as well. I like Marvin Jones a lot. Again, one of the better receivers in the NFL, has an ability to get open, has some good deep speed, real big deep threat for the Lions. I like Marvin Jones a lot. Pretty sure-handed as well. Kenny Golladay. I love Kenny Golladay. I just don't think he's to the level of some of these other receivers yet. He's at the very top tier of B for me. I think Kenny Golladay is an absolute stud. I don't think he's quite at that next level. Kenny Galladay's a beast, don't get me wrong, but just not quite there. He's so close, but I think Amari Cooper, who's probably at the tail end for A for me, is just a little bit better. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, is that who this is? Yeah. I don't know. I always thought his name was Marquez, but Aaron Rodgers calls him Marquez, which I don't like. It's not my choice. Who cares if I like it or not, but I don't. I think he's probably about D tier. There are Packers fans that think he's a plus receiver, which is pretty much where C is. C is average to above average. I just think he's kind of whatever, replacement level. Although Devontae Adams is S tier. He's still a fantastic player when he's on the field. Great route running, great hands, good size and speed. Devontae Adams pretty much has everything that you'd want in a receiver. Is he one of the best S-tier receivers? No, I think he's near the bottom of that list, honestly, even though there are Packers fans that want to call him the best in the NFL. I think he's a really good player. I don't have to he's S, dude. Calm down. Will Fuller, speedster. He's borderline B. I think we're going to put him in B. He still has drop issues, but when he's on, he can get you, 5 to 6 catches for 130 plus yards and a touchdown on a week to week basis. He's just good at what he does. He's not an elite receiver, and I don't think he's ever going to be higher than B. But his speed and ability to get open deep is just an unbelievable trait to have. So I think he's going to be in B. DeAndre Hopkins is certainly S tier. Do I think he's the best receiver in the NFL anymore? He's so close, but Michael Thomas has been so unbelievable that I think you probably have to call Michael Thomas receiver 1 right now. As we move on to Devin Funchess, who is now on the Colts. This is him in the Panthers uniform. I don't really think Devin Funchess is too good. I think he's like borderline C or D. I don't really think too highly of him as a player. I think he's okay. Sorry, T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton is near the top of B or A. We're going to put T.Y. Hilton in A. T.Y. Hilton is a great player. Eugene Marquise, I think is his actual first name. And T.Y., I forget the story of it. It means something. Like the younger, I think his name, something like that, because his dad is based, I don't know. There's some story to it. I don't recall. But T.Y. Hilton's a stud, man. Gets a ton of yards, goes under the radar, but is definitely the best receiver on that Colts team. Here we have D.D. Westbrook. Every Jags receiver I don't think is too good. I think they're all okay. So I think we're going to put D.D. Westbrook in C. I think we're going to put Marquise Lee in C. They're like borderline, or Marquise Lee might be a borderline D player, and I think Jags fans are going to hate to hear that, but there's not really a whole lot there. They're okay players. They're not really all that good. I think DJ Chark is going to be on this list later down the line, and I think he is probably in B tier. I don't see him on this list. This list was made by Eagles TD, so thank you, Eagles, for making this list, but I do not see DJ Chark. Actually, wait. Is DJ Chark 17? I think it might be Chris Conley. I don't know. We'll see. I have a list. Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley's a really good player. I think he's in B tier. Really good route runner, good hands. I think he's kind of offers you a lot of what Marvin Jones does. Maybe a bit better route runner than Marvin Jones, to be honest. But Calvin Ridley is a really good player. Tyreek Hill is a tough player to grade because I'm going to put him in A tier. It's kind of like, what do you think of him? As a receiver, I think he's in this A tier range. As an overall dynamic playmaker, he's one of the best in the NFL. S. I mean, he can return kicks. He can take direct snaps out of Wildcat. He can take end arounds to the house. He can, rush the ball. Tyreek Hill is a freak. Literally, that's his nickname. But or Cheetah too. But really, really amazing player. I think he's definitely an A tier receiver though. Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins is B tier, probably near the very end of B. I think he's maybe only slightly better than Michael Gallup, and he was taken number 4 overall in the 2014 draft. Has not lived up to that at all. As we have Travis Benjamin here, who doesn't play, but he's F. Travis Benjamin's terrible. I'm not going to hold back. I hate Travis Benjamin just because of, I don't hate him, but, he's awful, and he continues to play. I know I just said he doesn't really play, but he did at least. Mike Williams, I think, is a stud too. He's in kind of the same range as Kenny Golladay, a little bit worse. Maybe Allen Robinson, Cortland Sutton. They're all kind of the same player, or they have a lot of similarities in their game, I should say. Mike Williams, really good player. I need to see him be more involved. Keenan Allen has had a pretty good year so far, which I said in a Chargers rebuild, I think, and someone's like, "Really?" It's yeah, he has. He's on pace for 1,100 yards. What do you mean? Of course, he's had a pretty good season so far. Cooper Kupp is in the same range as Keenan Allen. Really, really good player. Robert Woods, we're going to throw in B tier. Brandon Cooks. His numbers are just so good over the past few years, but I don't know. He's top of B range as well. Again, he's a big deep threat. Can really crush you over the top. That's how he gets a lot of his yards, but I don't know. I don't think he's as good as some of these other players. I think Cooper Kupp has turned into the best receiver on that Rams team. Devontae Parker is top of C tier. Kenny Stills, who's now on the Texans, is probably in that C tier range as well. Julio Jones, one of the best receivers in the NFL. We're going to throw him into S. He is a stud. Stephon Diggs, stud. He goes into A. Adam Thielen, really good player, A as well. There are so many good receivers. I know A is getting crowded, but they're tremendously talented players as we move on. N'Keal Harry, of course, him at Arizona State. Hasn't played a ton this year, was on IR, but has looked good in the games that he's played. It's just tough for me to grade him any higher than a D or a C. I think he's a great player, but we haven't seen enough at all. Julian Edelman. Julian Edelman is top of B tier. He's taking a step back, still good at route running, still good at finding the end zone. Just would I rather have him than any of these A tier receivers? And the answer is no. I really wouldn't. I'd rather have Kenny Galladay than Julian Edelman as well. So that's how I'm going to grade him in B. People hate that. Bring up his playoff stats one more time, dude. Jabbar Gaffney has more receiving yards. I don't want to hear it. At least he did for last year. I mean, Julian Edelman may have passed him now, but great. It's great to be clutch in the playoffs. Guess what? You know how people get the most playoff yards ever? Playing in the playoffs. And that's a product of the teams being amazing that he's been on. It's not only him. It's not like, oh, he comes alive in the playoffs. He's the best playoff receiver ever. Shut up. Michael Thomas, S tier. He's on pace for stupid numbers, like 140 plus catches and ridiculous yardage and TDs. Monster. Is this Cameron Meredith? He's played on the Patriots a little bit this year, I want to say, but he's not much of a contributor. Sterling Shepard is average. I'm a Giants fan. Giants fans are going to want him in B. He's okay. Like, he's a slot receiver at best, and he's been forced to play on the outside a little bit as probably the Giants' best receiver. He's not that good. Golden Tate. I'm going to throw in C as well. And this might be me, like, just being a negative Giants fan. Golden Tate gets no separation, man. I know his yardage is not terrible, even though he's missed a lot of time this year. Golden Tate's best days are behind him. The Giants were so stupid to offer him that, or give him that contract, not only offer it. Robbie Anderson is probably C tier as well. All he is a deep threat. I can't say he's as good as any of these receivers in B. Quincy Enunwa, I think, is probably bottom C tier. I don't think there's a whole lot going on. He's only played in a game or two this year, so I don't think there's too much going on with Quincy Enunwa right now, but he's a good player overall, decent. Willie Snead is he's an average receiver as well. Like, he's looked pretty good because of that Baltimore offense this year, but he's not really a number one receiver at all. Antonio Brown. This is so tough because he's played a little bit this year. He's an absolute idiot. He's Antonio Clown. This guy is a moron. His cycle of getting in trouble, apologizing, getting in trouble, being like, oh, whatever, and then apologizing, and then getting in trouble, and then saying, like, y'all just don't understand me, and then apologizing. It's so stupid. He's still one of the best receivers in the NFL, though. I'm going to put him in A tier. Antonio Brown, ability-wise, is probably still S, but it's tough to say because we haven't really seen him a lot this year, so I'm gonna bump him down a peg, especially with age. So if you're a big Antonio Brown fan, which, first of all, if you are, you're an asshole, and I don't like you, but we're going to put him in A. Tyrell Williams, now on the Raiders. He looked like he was getting off to a hot start. I don't think he's as good as some of these other guys in B. I'm going to put Tyrell Williams in C. The Raiders' offense has not been particularly good, and he hasn't been a great part in it. Nelson Aguilar is terrible. We're going to put Nelson Aguilar in D. He runs some decent routes. He catches the ball about as well as the least coordinated kid at your middle school. Really, really can't catch the football at all. All those Eagles receivers really can't. Aguilar is bad. And I remember saying this for years, and people are like, oh, he's great. You're stupid. Look at his numbers, blah, blah, blah. He still can't catch the ball. And when you're a receiver, call me crazy, you got to be able to catch the ball. And he doesn't do that. Deshaun Jackson's B tier. Hasn't played a whole lot this year. He was kind of the best piece of that Philadelphia Eagles receiving core when he was on the field. But D-Jax is still a good player. He still is one of the best deep threats in football. Got to put him in B tier. Alshon Jeffrey, B tier. He drops the football a lot this year. Hasn't been all that great. But I still think he's better than a lot of these other guys in C. Juju Smith-Schuster, he got a lot of hype really, really quickly. I think a lot of his ability was playing next to Antonio Brown that made him so good. Juju, I think, is in the B tier. He might be near the top of B, but Juju is not as good as some of these other guys in A, in my opinion. Hate me if you want. Call me a boomer. Juju is not one of the league's best receivers. He's a borderline top like 12, but it's tough to say whether he would be or not. I don't think so, personally. As we move on, this is what, Dante Pettis? Dante Pettis is a good player. Another guy that really doesn't catch the football too well, surprisingly, at least from what I've seen. The entire 49ers receiving room doesn't really. But their offense has been pretty good this year. I think Dante Pettis is a good player, but I don't think he's good enough to go into B quite yet. Deebo Samuel, same deal. Has looked all right in the games that I've seen for the 49ers this year. He's looked like he's been a good player, a guy that they can just throw the ball to, and he finds a way to get the first down. I like Deebo Samuel a lot, liked him coming out of South Carolina. But again, I don't think he's quite ready to go into the next tier yet. DK Metcalf, kind of the same deal. I mean, he's looked amazing at times this year. Also another guy that really loves to drop the football. He's like the same receiver he was at Ole Miss, where he'll get those amazing plays for you, but he will drop the ball somewhat frequently. It's a little bit upsetting. This is Tyler Lockett. I think he's definitely moved up into A tier. Tyler Lockett is a really good player. He is consistent. He is sure-handed. He's great at route running, and he just finds a way. Tyler Lockett, really, really solid player. Definitely one of the better receivers in the NFL. Still probably a little underrated. Hollywood Brown, we're going to put into B tier. The first rookie that gets into B tier happens to be the first one off the board. He went at number, I almost said 19, but that's not. I think it might have been Jeffrey Simmons. Or Jeffrey Simmons might have been 17. I think Hollywood Brown was 25. I can't remember. It doesn't really matter. He was tail end of the first round. He's been pretty good this year, man. A couple of multi-touchdown games for him. I like what I see in Hollywood Brown. Good player. Tough to know how good he was going to be coming off of injury, but he's been pretty good this year. Mike Evans, we're going to throw into S tier. And Chris Godwin, I think, is near top of A. He's been amazing this year, don't get me wrong, but there's more of a sample size than just 1 year. Mike Evans had drop issues like 1 year, but his numbers are just unbelievable. I am going to elevate him into S. Chris Godwin, of course, A. This is A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's looked pretty good this year, but I think he's still about like average receiver. Hasn't really had games. Well, he had one game where I think he had multiple touchdowns, but hasn't really had games where he's looked like a dominant receiver like some of these other guys above him. But I still like A.J. Brown. I think he has a lot of potential with this Titans team, but I don't think he's shown it enough yet to warrant being higher. Corey Davis, first round pick that's like an average receiver. He went to number 5 overall a few years ago. Hasn't been that type of a player, in my opinion. Paul Richardson, another guy that's about average. The Redskins' entire receiving room is not too good. But if anyone, Scary Terry, who we're going to get to right now, has been great. He's another receiver I'm going to put into B tier. Standout rookie for the Redskins out of Ohio State. Maybe he's been the best player on their team this year. Third round pick has been very, very solid. Josh Doxson doesn't play. He's going to go into F. I don't even know that he's still on the Redskins. I think he may have been cut. As we get to Zay Jones. Zay Jones is D or F. I mean, he was traded for like, what, a 5th round pick after being drafted in the 2nd by the Bills. He's not a good player. He's definitely worse than some of the guys above him. Zay Jones, there's not really too much going on there. Cole Beasley is C. He's an average receiver. He's looked all right on the Bills this year. Still a good route runner, good hands, just pretty one-dimensional. He's your typical slot receiver. There's not really like too much more there. DJ Moore, I think, is B tier. I like DJ Moore. A lot of potential on him. Just hasn't shown enough to be A tier just yet. Chris Hogan is on the Panthers right now. Been injured. There's not a whole lot going on there. I think he, at best, is C tier, and a lot of that might have been due to Tom Brady. So I think average to maybe below average for Chris Hogan is where he's trending. As we move on to Albert Wilson. Signed a big deal with the Dolphins. I can't really put him much higher than C. He's been okay in the games that he's played. As we move on to John Brown. Of course, he's on the Bills now. John Brown's been good, man. Big deep threat target for Josh Allen, and Josh Allen loves to air it out, throw it deep. John Brown has been a very, very good player. Definitely B tier, I think. And he's had a great year. But you got to take in other years into account. He's not as good as some of these other guys in A. as we move on to Mohamed Sanu, traded from the Falcons to the Patriots. Sure-handed receiver. I think he's in B as well. He's slightly above average, probably near the very tail end of B, but he'll catch the football for you, and he'll get open, he'll get first downs. Mohamed Sanu is pretty decent. That's about the best I can say to him. Jamison Crowder, from the Redskins to the Jets. He's been their lone bright spot. I don't think Jamison Crowder is quite B. I'm going to throw him in C, despite having a pretty good year this year. I think he's, again, a slot receiver who's been forced to play on the outside a little bit because they don't have too much going on there. Philip Dorsett, he's been another player that's played well. I think a lot of that has been due to being a New England Patriot, and he's only played well in some games. I think he's about an average receiver. Here we have Randall Cobb, of course, Packer to the Cowboys now. His best years are behind him. I think he's in B or in C tier as well. He's about an average receiver. Danny Amendola, sure-handed receiver, good route running, great hands, doesn't really drop the football for you, but he's about average. Another like kind of one-dimensional guy. He kind of reminds me of what Cole Beasley brings to the table. We have Darius Slayton, Giants rookie standout. Giants fans are going to want me to throw him into B, and I'm almost tempted to just because how many touchdowns he has this year, and how many like actual snaps he's played. But he doesn't really create separation. I don't know how he gets all these touchdowns. His advanced metrics are some of the worst in the NFL. But he's not a true number one yet. Maybe he can develop into that. Not really a great route runner, but again, he's found a way to get in the end zone, and that is a good trait to have. But he's going to go a top C tier right now. Tyler Boyd, he's a really, really good player. Tough spot in Cincinnati, but he's certainly very good. I think B tier is good range for him. We have Emmanuel Sanders. He's definitely in B tier, probably near the top end of B. He's looked great for the 49ers this year. Another sure-handed route runner that can be a deep threat occasionally for you, but Emmanuel Sanders just finds a way to get yards. He is really, really good. He's a good player. Probably just a notch under like Tyler Lockett and Cooper Kupp for me. We have Curtis Samuel. Has looked great this year. I think it's going to elevate him into B tier for me. DJ Chark. I don't know why I thought DJ Chark wore a different number. I thought Chris Conley was 17 for some reason, but DJ Chark, he has games where he looks amazing, other games where he's not really there, but still a pretty good player. I think DJ Chark is good. I think B tier is kind of where he makes his claim for right now. James Washington, we're going to throw in C. He's a good deep threat. Doesn't really offer a whole lot else. And then we're going to end this list with Anthony Miller, who I think is probably C tier as well. Maybe trying to get up into B, but that Bears offense is kind of terrible. But that is my list, guys. I'm sure you all disagree. But you have to be mean for some of these guys. They can't all be B. They can't all be A. We have to kind of create that line somewhere. If you disagree, be sure to tell me. I'll be very happy to read it in the comment section because I definitely read comments. And I will see you in the next one. Take it easy.